Welcome to the Not on Anemia protocol documentation video. This video will show you what and how to document in Renal Insight when using the Not on Anemia protocol. This video covers the following topics: the actions of the initial RN following the Not on Anemia protocol, as well as the actions of the second RN following the Not on Anemia protocol, which is also known as the double check. And finally, we will end off by reviewing a second scenario that will walk us through the process once again. This slide provides an overview of the actions of the initial RN following the Not on Anemia protocol. The following slides will break these steps up into more detail and will be accompanied by a video clip. As the initial RN following the Not on Anemia protocol, you are responsible for ensuring that the patient has an active Not on Anemia protocol order. You must then review the order details, making sure to note the specified target ranges for hemoglobin and TSAT. Then you must gather the necessary information, which includes reviewing the patient's previous anemia management note template to understand what happened last time, reviewing their medications, and the recent blood work. Next, you'll use the instructions that were laid out in the Not on Anemia protocol order to determine your next steps. And finally, you will document these decisions in Renal Insight and make the necessary changes. The first thing you want to do is make sure that the patient is on the Not on Anemia management protocol. And to do that, we'll click on our patient's name and then click on directives and orders up here. And then we're going to look for this order here, which says Not on Anemia protocol. By clicking on the order and then clicking details, we can learn more information about the order. So here we can see that it says the patient is not on the anemia management protocol. There's a history of cancer or stroke. Their hemoglobin target range is 90 to 105, and their TSAT target range is 20 to 50%. And then it says contact prescriber if out of range. So we'll remember these numbers as we review the patient's blood work. For patients on the Not on Anemia protocol, the information that is listed here in the order details is the only information that you will follow. Unlike for patients who are on the anemia protocol, there is no booklet or diagram, flowchart, or algorithm of any kind that exists for patients who are not on anemia protocol. So for patients who are ordered the Not on Anemia protocol, we reference the information in the order here and review their blood work results to see what their hemoglobin, ferritin, and TSAT is. And then if those values do not fall within the target ranges listed here, then we contact the prescriber. Now that we've confirmed that our patient has been ordered the Not on Anemia protocol and we've read the details of the order, we can exit out of this page and then begin by reviewing the patient's last anemia note template. To do this, you want to go up and select the music icon up here to open up their progress notes. You want to filter by the anemia panel, and because we are using a test patient today, the dates don't all make sense, so I will be changing the period to all. But for a real patient, you would just see their most recent progress notes here. So I'll click the last anemia management note template here to read more details. And then we can see that the patient's hemoglobin was 90 and their iron TSAT was 27. And if you recall that the Not on Anemia protocol order mentioned that if their hemoglobin is between 90 and 105 and their TSAT falls between 20 and 50%, then there's no need to contact the prescriber. So we can see here that no changes were made last time. Next, we want to review the patient's medications to see what medications they're currently on. So we'll close out of this page as well as this one. And then with our patient name still highlighted, we can click on the medications icon up here to open up the patient's medication list. And we also get this pop-up box here, which shows us their allergies. So we can go ahead and close that for now. And then here we can see the medications that our patient is currently on. So we can see here that our patient is currently on an iron maintenance dose of 100 milligrams every 2 weeks. And we can also see that they are on Aramesp, 50 micrograms every week. Once we've reviewed the patient's medications and have an idea of what they're on, then we can go ahead and review their blood work results. And to do that, we want to exit out of their medication list, and with the patient's name still highlighted, we want to click on the window pane icon up here to open up their panels. So we can highlight the anemia panel and then click on display down here to open up more information. And here we could see their most recent blood work in this last column here, and the blood work before that one. We can look at the two just to see if there's been any changes or any trends in the previous blood work that's been done. So for our most recent blood work, we can see that their hemoglobin was 90 and their TSAT was 25 and their ferritin was 400. So if you recall, the Not on Anemia protocol order detailed the target ranges for hemoglobin to be between 90 and 105, and the target ranges for TSAT to be between 20 and 50%. So both our hemoglobin and TSAT here fall within those target ranges. But if these values did not fall within those listed target ranges, then we know we would have to contact the prescriber. So because the hemoglobin and TSAT percent fall within the target ranges and their ferritin is fine, we know we don't have to make any changes, and we'll keep him on the same dose of medications that he's currently on. Next, we want to document this information in a progress note. And to do that, we're going to close out of this screen as well as this one. And again, while making sure our patient is highlighted, we want to select this icon with the two people and open up the encounter screen. And then from the note template drop-down menu, we can select anemia panel, and that will pull up their most recent blood work. And we can leave a comment here. So the comment we left here states that the patient has been ordered the Not on Anemia protocol for cancer/stroke. They're within the target ranges specified and no medication changes were made. And then once we've included all the information we can flag the nurse and save. And that's everything that you would have to do in this scenario. So all that's left is for the second nurse who is flagged to do their double check. The second nurse who has been flagged is responsible for doing an independent double check. To do this, they would start by selecting the progress note flag next to the patient being reviewed. Then the second nurse would follow the exact same process they would as if they were the initial RN. This includes viewing the patient's medications, recent lab results, and the specified target ranges listed in the Not on Anemia protocol order. Once you have come to a decision as to what steps you would take based on your findings, then you would review the progress note of the first nurse and the actions that they decided to take. If you agree with what the first nurse has documented and what they put in their progress notes and the actions that they've decided to take, then all you have to do is review the medication changes they made to ensure that they were entered correctly and acknowledge the progress note and save. However, if you disagree with the decisions of the first nurse, then you must first discuss your concerns with that nurse and see if you can both come to an agreement. If the two of you are unable to come to an agreement, or if there are medication changes that are required, then you must consult the prescriber. At this point, you must create a new anemia note template stating that you disagreed with the first nurse's findings and that the prescriber was consulted, and list any changes that need to be made. Then you can go ahead and make these necessary changes to the medications or lab test orders that are required as ordered by the prescriber. In this next scenario with our test patient Ron Burgundy, we will follow an example where the patient is ordered the Not on Anemia Management protocol and their lab values do not fall within the specified target ranges. So first, we would begin by making sure that the patient has been ordered the Not on Anemia protocol. So to do that, we'll click on their name and then click on Directives and Orders up here. And we're going to have to scroll a little bit here, but I see the order right there. So again, we can hit Details, and we'll see here that the target range for their hemoglobin is 90 to 105, and their TSAT target range is 20 to 50%. So again, if the patient's hemoglobin levels and TSAT percent is outside of these target ranges, then we have to contact the prescriber. Now that we can confirm that our patient has been ordered the Not on Anemia protocol and we've familiarized ourselves with the target ranges, we can close out of this. The first thing we want to do now is review the last few progress notes. So to do that, we'll click on the music note icon up here. So again, we want to filter out the anemia panel note templates. And we can double click on the most recent progress note to open up additional information. And this gives us an idea of what happened last time. So here we can see that the patient's blood work was within the target ranges of the Not on Anemia Management protocol, and no medication changes were required. Now that we have an idea of what happened last time, we can move on and review the patient's medications. To review the patient's medications, you want to make sure that their name is highlighted here, and then you can click on the medication icon up here. And this allergy box once again pops up, and we can take note of that and then close it. And here we get an idea of the medications that our patient is currently on. So we can see here that they're currently on an iron maintenance dose. So they're getting 100 milligrams IV direct every 2 weeks. and they're also receiving Aranesp 30 micrograms IV direct every week. So we can take note of this information and then proceed to check the patient's lab results. To check the patient's lab results in their anemia panel, you want to click on the Windows icon up here to open up their panels. We already have the anemia panel as our favorite, which I reviewed earlier in this video, so we can click Display. In this last column on the right, we can see the most recent lab values. So we see here that their hemoglobin is 89, their TSAT is 24%, and their ferritin is 200. So again, if you recall from the patient's not on anemia management protocol order, their hemoglobin target range is between 90 and 105, and their TSAT target range is between 20 to 50%. So in cases such as this, where we clearly see here that their hemoglobin does not fall within that target range, then we are instructed in that not on anemia management protocol order to contact the prescriber. Once we have consulted with the prescriber and we've been instructed on what medication changes to make, we can go ahead and input a new note template on our patient. So to do that, you want to open up this people icon here to bring up the encounter screen. And then from the note template drop-down menu, you want to select anemia panel, and this will pre-populate the most recent blood work. So here we can see their hemoglobin, their TSAT, and their ferritin that we just reviewed. And now we can add a comment here describing what we know so far and the fact that we contacted the prescriber and what changes we were instructed to make to the patient's medications. So we left a comment here that says the patient's hemoglobin is below the specified target range on the not on anemia management protocol. We called the test doctor and the order was received to increase Aranesp to 40 micrograms weekly and maintain the current dose of iron. And once we provided as much information as we can in the note template, then we can go ahead and flag the nurse and click Save. And now we want to go ahead and make those medication changes that we just noted in the anemia note template. So we can click on the medication icon to open up the patient's medication list. And again, we have their allergy box here that we can take note of and then close for now. And as ordered by the prescriber, we're going to increase their Aranesp dose to 40 micrograms per week. So we'll change that to 40, and it's going to ask us to select a prescriber. So we'll select test doctor once again, and then we can go ahead and click Save. And the prescriber ordered us to maintain the iron dose, so we don't have to make any changes to that. So we can just save this page and then close out of that as well. And that brings us to the end of this video. So now you know how to use the not on anemia management protocol and how to document the relevant changes in Renal Insight.